think one of the best places we can talk about stand typing using air photos is Big Reed Reserve. Big Reed is 5,000 acres that appears to have escaped all historical logging, and it represents our best understanding of how Maine's forest would have developed naturally over the last 200 years. And at this corner of the property, I think we can see one of the legacies of early logging, where after the white pine logging era was the spruce logging era, and a lot of the spruce grew on hardwood ridges. Let's take a look at some of my photos from Big Reed, and there is one of the spruce, typical of a spruce birch, where the birch is yellow birch. And here's another one, so spruce, 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 spruce here, some spruce regeneration in here, but not too much, and then sugar maple and yellow birch throughout. Here we have sugar maple, spruce back here, and some softwood we can see on the ridge line there, and there. We can see a small fir, but in the background here, a massive spruce. Here we see a gnarled beech suffering from the beech bark disease, a yellow birch with an interesting basket-shaped crown, and then spruce, spruce, spruce. Now in these photos you can't see the advanced regeneration of the maple and the birch. If you see these little twigs down there, every one of those is a little seedling, just waiting for a chance in the light. So advanced regeneration is that regeneration of those seedlings which sprout in the shade and wait for a chance, some gap in the canopy, or the complete death of the overstory, so they'll take over. You see very little advanced regeneration of the conifer. Here's a nice sapling of spruce waiting for a chance. You can see very slow height growth, very little distance between each whorl or group of branches. And here's some more spruce in the same condition. If we look closely here, there's one, and then two, and then more up as we get higher here. Compared to the abundance of hardwood regeneration, where all of these are maple seedlings, and these are slightly larger maple seedlings from a few years ago. This ridgetop, I think this was affected by the windstorm of 1983. This is all yellow birch here, those small saplings coming up here, and then we have an abundant layer of spruce down here below. And as you walk around, you find these snapped off spruce. Now the point I'm driving at is this. If you put yourself in the shoes of an early logger looking for spruce to cut, these are going to be your first target, and they often were. This advanced regeneration has a chance in life, but no guarantee. So the net result of logging these spruce birch ridges is often the loss of the spruce. And that brings us back to our air photos. So if you see where my cursor is going, to the north of this line is Big Reed. To the south and west, that's managed forest that's been harvested at least twice. Now looking closely at the managed area, we can see pockets of conifer. There's 1, 2, 3 here. Looks like there might be one there, a few here and there, pockets here, here, and here. But the relative abundance, the dominance of the canopy has changed on this side of the line, which is the reserve, and this part of the area, which is managed. Now a stand is a human construct defined as a unit of trees that is homogeneous enough to treat as a unit, so similar enough to itself to be a management unit. So this is a hardwood stand. This is a softwood stand. We have a stream here, maybe cedar here, probably spruce and fir here, and then we have a more or less hard line. Compared to this side, going from the stream up through the spruce and fir, up into more of a mixed wood condition. This being the line between the reserved area and the not. So here's Little Reed Pond here. We see not a very steep grade here, very steep on this side. Let's go ahead and turn off the topo maps, and we can see a very quick change from pure conifer along the lake shore. On the southeast side, with a shallower, gentler grade, we go through more or less pure conifer here, mixed wood in between, mixed wood in between. Might lean towards calling that a softwood dominant mixed wood, where this goes softwood and then a hardwood dominant mixed wood. So when we classify stands, we usually say hardwood, softwood, or mixed wood. Now when do you stop calling a stand a hardwood stand and start calling it mixed wood? The answers vary, but about 20% softwood would make it a mixed wood stand. Another classification system might say 30%. In any case, it's hard to draw the line where one stops and the other begins. So this is all the Big Reed Reserve here, but if we go down in here, we can see more defined boundaries. Those boundaries are the edges of old management or early logging. Now that distinction is important. Early logging was done with the intention of extracting certain kinds of wood, essentially timber mining. where forestry is done with the intention of growing and then harvesting wood products, with the understanding that entire ecosystems are organized around the structure of these trees that we grow. But you can see the difficulty of defining and hitting a target for any particular area. If you didn't have this for a point of comparison, would you know what percentage of conifer might have been expected on a historical condition for this location? What is it that makes this different from this, different from this, different from this? What is the right thing to do here? The practical answer to that, I think, is to preserve conifer regeneration whenever possible. There are seedlings and saplings of spruce in here. I can see some on the air photos, and I'm sure I would find more on the ground. So I think the best thing you can do in a commercial operation is to give those seedlings and saplings a chance, and that's normally included in prescriptions for this kind of a forest type. But to get back to our stand, I said before the word prescription. That is a set of instructions for what you want the machine operator to do within a particular block or within a particular stand. Stand types are defined by age, species, hardwood, softwood, mixed wood, and then stocking class. Stocking class refers to whether the growing space is fully utilized or not. This would be a fairly well-stocked situation. I see small crowns here, and I see gaps between some of these crowns, but that's accounted for by crown abrasion. This small tree, small and tall, swings back and forth in the wind, its branches knock against the neighbors, and it leaves a small gap. And these are the skid trails made by whoever was in here last. Compared to this, which is a less than fully stocked situation, these canopies are never going to fill in over these gaps. There's going to be new regeneration, and those seedlings are going to form the main canopy of this forest. This one is moderately to well stocked. We can see the gaps here from the harvest trails, so the skid trails. And there's some gaps that would not be filled by the expansion of these canopies. But for the most part, there's room for trees to grow, but there's no huge holes outside of the skid trail. After that, we have age class. So this would be an older forest, this would be younger. You can tell them apart because there's very small, densely packed canopies here, and obviously taller, wider spaced canopies here. You can see older trees left, probably for seed throughout here, and some of them appear to have died. So why define stands at all? At a certain point, you need to be able to draw a line, or a polygon as the case may be, and say, go here, do a shelter wood, give me enough light on the ground for yellow birch regeneration. I want a mix of yellow birch and sugar maple, therefore I need more light hitting the ground. And over here, we've established regeneration of spruce and fir. At the age of 12, I need you to go in here with a brush saw, make sure every one of these trees has 8 feet of growing space. If you don't go here and do that at that time, the ground ratios are going to crash, the stand will stagnate, and in 50 years you're going to have a crop of 4-inch trees. The end result is a stand-type map for the entire ownership. Different companies and different agencies will use different codes. This one's fairly simple, where we have species composition, size class, and stocking, where stocking refers to whether the growing space is fully utilized by the dominant cohort. Here we have S1B, softwood, seedlings, well stocked. The normal order of operations would be to draw these boundaries or delineate the stands using the air photo, and then use the ground-based inventory to get the stand types. If you've been in the GIS lab before, you'll have seen this map hanging in the wall. It's something I did up to demonstrate good practice with stand type maps for UMFK forestry. We have a stream labeled in blue italics, which is a convention. These polygons with the green hashes delineate freshwater emergent and freshwater forested wetlands. That's from a GIS layer provided by the state. The map explains the species code, size classes, stocking here, so you don't have to go looking for it elsewhere. We have a magnetic declination here and a locator map here, showing where we are, where the outline of this map is, in relation to some known point of reference. The scale bar is broken into pieces that make sense, so nobody's going to measure in units of 477 feet. This has been set so we have units of 500, 1,000, 2,000 feet. All this teal text is not actually part of the map, it's notes for you to read. So, same color for stands and property, separated by different thicknesses. So this thick yellow line is the fictitious property boundary. These thin lines are stand boundaries. This line here is both a practical stand boundary and the property boundary. Remember, a stand is a unit of trees homogeneous enough to treat as a unit. If somebody else owns it, it is not homogeneous enough to treat as a unit. Remember, a stand is a completely human construct. I have not yet met a bird or a deer or anything else that runs around and says this is a stand. They would look at territories. There might be some small part of this, or a large landscape incorporating all of this. But a stand is human. And at this point in history, you are almost always looking for the boundaries of previous operations first, and then looking at other factors. For example, this mixed wood may or may not have started out in a similar condition, but then was definitely treated differently on the west side versus the east. And from now on, they have to be treated differently.